up, everybody? Welcome to the very last episode of Gaming Without Parole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Bryan Paul, and for the very last time, sitting across from me is the ever-illustrious Mike Zeller.
I'm glad you used my pet name for the last time. Yep.
Mike, Brett was on last week. Just me and Brett.
Yeah.
I think that was the first.
Yeah, I think so, too.
We hadn't done that before.
No.
We didn't really talk about any news. So, all of the news I had listed for last week, we sort of have to recover this week. Right.
Awesome.
We glossed over a couple things. I don't think he'd ever heard of Ni no Kuni. So, but for anybody who's following at home, Brett had his heart surgery this week, and he's recovering well. We're all very happy about that, obviously. Yeah. That's it.
Nice.
All right. That was good.
Yeah, all right, well, I'll see you later.
While the going's good.
Yeah.
Mike, so since it's been 2 weeks since we've seen you, what have you been playing? And please
Fallout.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I actually do have a pile of games that I've accumulated, because now that I have a PS4, and it's late enough into the system's life that you can get some good stuff pretty cheap.
Yep. Been good sales lately, too.
Yeah, I know. And see, this is the agony of Christmas. So my relatives are always like, what do you want for Christmas? And, there's a few necessities I need for my house and,
right.
Clothes for my shriveled naked body. But,
But you sacrifice it all for video games.
Yeah, but video game. I mean, if you want to get me something exciting, that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
But see, then the problem is everyone always, at the beginning of the Christmas season, asks, because you want to get your shopping done.
Yeah, as early as possible.
As early as possible, because it just gets... If anybody has been in a store on Christmas Eve, it's fucking bananas. It's like Black Friday, but there's none of the excitement of Black Friday. It's just panic, because this is it.
Yeah.
So everybody asks, so if I tell them, oh, you can get me this game or this game, then I can't buy that game because...
Even if you see it on sale.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, hey, that game I just asked for is like $10 right now. I need to buy it.
Almost every single game that I've mentioned to anybody, I've seen for $20 or less, and it's killing me.
Yeah. Hopefully they got the good deal on it.
I know,
but they probably didn't.
I've been sending little messages like, "Oh, hey, I just saw on Amazon today that my dad's just like, so." I'm just like, shit.
You're not good at this.
No, he is. He knows what I'm doing.
So no one buys me anything, and I buy nothing for anyone. It's all gift cards and or cash, scratch tickets. Kind of stuff.
There's a cold efficiency to that. Nobody's ever going to open an envelope of cash and be like, "Fuck you! What did you get me this for?"
Exactly.
This pile of sweaty bills.
Yeah. So everyone's happy. It relieves a lot of the stress. Mm-hmm. And I just buy shit for myself constantly. Right. I ended up canceling my my back order for Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. Because I realized I just didn't care. I was like, that was a game that was going to be in the cellophane probably until I get a PS5. And then I'll get the Super HD version for the PS5. Never played the shrink-wrapped version.
Yeah, Dark Souls 2, I think, has enough oomph to it that I don't reasonably foresee that fading off into the mists of history, I think.
I still haven't finished Bloodborne. So, one thing at a time. I also saw that Metal Gear Solid 5 was like $35.
Yeah.
The Witcher 3 was $30. I mean, these are games that you can spend the rest of your life playing if you ever finish Fallout.
Oh, yeah. That's been kind of what I've been running into, is I've been really enjoying all of my time in Fallout, but there is almost a sense of being overwhelmed with the amount of content. Because I even misread the map, I was realizing. Because if you're looking at the full map, there's a little dotted outline about, depending on the size of your TV screen, like an inch, there's like an inch margin on the map.
It's like 7 inches on my TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why I can read games.
Yes, I know. There's a little bit of a margin.
Yeah.
I assumed that like college rule notebook paper, you don't write in that little field.
I have not gone outside of the border.
Oh yeah, you definitely can. Okay. There's a ton of stuff out there.
It says you cannot go that way when I hit the border.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe maybe there's like a story thing that they don't want you getting.
I know the glowing sea has an element where it's somewhere out there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't seen anything that lets me go past the border. I thought when you said I misread the map, I thought you were going to say, I just never zoomed out. And then I realized it's 8 times bigger than I thought it was.
Oh, maybe, I haven't tried the other edges, so maybe it's just the glowing sea. Maybe that's the only place where you can go further. But so actually, then that makes me feel a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I thought there was so much more.
Yeah. I'm like 90 hours in.
I haven't even looked at my clock. I don't want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't played very much in the last week or two because I've just been tired or busy or whatever. Yeah. Work has been crazy because of the holiday season. So I get home from work and I'm just like, video games sound like work. And when you say that, you know you're tired.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
Yeah. So I just put on Netflix and stare at, like, reruns of Cheers for 5.5 hours. I'm like, I could have played Fallout. But the problem is I'm not overwhelmed by the amount of things I can do because I feel like I've got a good grasp on the game in terms of, like, the Minutemen are constantly giving me side missions. Like, as soon as you finish one, they give you another one. And I'm like, and I realize it's going to be an endless loop forever. So I've kind of just stopped.
Yeah,
I'm like, you guys can go fuck yourself.
All of the factions do that, and I don't like it. Like I like.
I don't like it either.
I mean, I guess you can farm experience that way, maybe, but I would like to feel like I'm done with an area, and they never really.
They don't give you a break,
and they never really clarify when this is a unique mission versus when this is essentially just almost like an MMO dungeon run.
You can tell though. You can tell.
Sometimes.
These people are having problems with ghouls. These people are having problems with supermutants. These people are stupid. They're all dumb. So yeah, I've sort of stopped doing a lot of those side quests. Yeah. I'm at level 43, I think, and I'm nervous because I think the cap is 50.
Nope, there is no level cap.
See, I heard that a long time ago, but then other people have told me that the cap was 50.
Nope,
that's so good.
Yeah, it is. It's
because there's really so many perks. I want to get every single perk. Oh, I'm back in. I'm not going to work today. Yeah, just playing Fallout until I get every perk.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm never playing another game ever.
Yeah. It was actually my brother that told me that because I had assumed, as with the last few games, that the cap was 50. But
so
he said
nervous.
he did some research and he said there actually is. It's like level 54,490. If you go over that, the game just crashes. You can't go any further.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure someone's hit that level.
That's great because that's basically like the kill screen from an old 80s arcade game, but for this super cutting edge video game. Yeah. That's kind of hilarious that those are still in there.
I'm very happy now because I really thought once I hit level 50 I was going to be like, well, I can't level up anymore, and I'm kind of bored. Yeah. Yeah, now I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened with all the other games is I hit the level cap and then immediately finished them because...
kind of done.
Why? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's exciting. All right, well, that's the best news I've heard in probably, since the last time we did this. Yeah, so my only problem is with Fallout is that it's literally keeping me from playing anything else.
Yeah.
I took a break. I played Uncharted 1. I played Uncharted 2. I got about halfway through Uncharted 3. And then they patched the game. They patched Fallout for me. So it didn't have that game-breaking bug around Monsignor Plaza, if I'm pronouncing that right. And now it works again. So I'm back in. And I didn't buy The Witcher 3 for $30 because I knew it was one or the other.
Yeah.
Witcher 3 would just sit on my shelf until it was eventually $20. And I was like, I could have just waited. So that, Fallout 4 is literally keeping me from playing everything else. I'm trying to take little breaks and stuff. I did play Among the Sleep this past week. Which is,
you talked about that. It's like you're dreaming and you're walking. Is that
you're like the 2-year-old toddler?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the biggest 2-year-old ever. About this.
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
And
got my jammies.
Well, so it was a PC independent game, right? And it was and it's short. It's like maybe 3 hours. And it came to PS4, and it was on sale. The weird thing was, the camera's going to blow up.
I know.
I don't know what's going on over there.
It's settling.
It's not settling. It's actually coming out of its shell. It's like I have to kind of squish it all back in every week, and it pops out gradually. It's like a really tight belt than eating a Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah. One notch at a time. So, Among the Sleep, it's weird because Sony really hid that game on the PlayStation Store. Like, I go on every week to see what's new, and I couldn't find it. I didn't know it was out, but it wasn't on like the big splash page where it shows like all the new games. It wasn't in the PlayStation deals page. It was, I don't even know where I found it. It was hidden like 3 pages deep, and there it was among the sleep, just released that day, on sale for PlayStation Plus. And I was like, you didn't advertise this in any shape, way, or form. Like, you like literally sent it out to die. Like, it's almost like they Tomb Raidered it, right? So, but I downloaded it because I was super interested in it, and it's really good. It's really good. It's like, it's a first-person adventure game. You can die, but meh. It's kind of survival horror-y, but not really. It's good.
Cool.
Yeah, you crawl, you walk. I love when you look down at yourself when you're walking. And you are literally, you see the body of a toddler.
Yeah.
And you can't quite walk right and stuff. It's
does the screen kind of wobble?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
And then when you crawl, it's like, you're really good at crawling. Definitely recommend that, though. I mean, it's a tough sell for some people, because if it's like a 2 or 3 or 4 hour game, $13, $14 seems like a lot of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't mind something like that, it's fun. Couple of boring fetch quests, but besides that, it's paced pretty well.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I've never really. We have kind of a funny hobby when you think about it. When we're like, something's pretty short. It's only like 5 or 6 hours. Like, man, anything else that would be 5 or 6 hours, I would be dying. I would just want that to end, even if it was something I enjoyed. Like,
I pay $13 to go to a movie, and if it's more than 90 minutes, I'm upset. Right? Like, I can't get comfortable in the seat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just sort of just.
Yeah. Or you think about like the Lord of the Rings movies,
Try not to.
Yeah. That's 9 hours for all 3 of them, and that would be a kind of short video, like a little bit skewing on the short side video game. But I do not watch those regularly. That's a lie. I do.
I've never seen them.
That's sad.
So, part of my resolution, New Year's resolution, even some might say, for 2016. And I'm actually going to get through some of this before then. Even there's so many gaps in my video game and anime and geek knowledge, and I need to get through all of it. Right? Star Wars. I've seen one Star Wars movie ever, and I was 12 years old, and I don't know which one it was. I'm pretty sure it was the Luke, I Am Your Father one, which I'm assuming was what, Return of the Jedi?
That's Empire Strikes Back.
Empire. Oh, see, this is bad. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, that's the best one. So.
Oh, okay. I don't remember it. I was probably drunk. 12 years old.
When you're 12,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started early.
Oh boy.
And so I just bought on Amazon both trilogies. What?
Well, one of those is pretty good. One of those I don't know if I told this story on the podcast, but every time...
Here's your chance.
I know, finally, my last chance.
This might be it.
So I was a huge, huge Star Wars fan when I was a kid. Star Wars was like my thing.
Nerd.
Yes. I lived Star Wars. But then when the new movies came out, the prequels, I watched them and I remember thinking, those weren't that great.
Right.
I didn't hate them, but I even at the time I could objectively understand, like, these are not good movies. Mm-hmm. And so I've owned multiple copies of the original trilogy on DVD with all the different extras and things that came with them, and because fucking George Lucas cut that movie a million times differently after the fact, you don't want to have a shitty version. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, I would be in a store, and I'd see like a used copy of Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones for a couple bucks, and I'd be like, I'm a big Star Wars fan, I should pick those up.
Right.
And I'd start reaching for it, and then I just remember all of these really lame, boring, unpleasant scenes, and I'd be like, no. And then maybe a month ago, somebody at work returned a full set of all 3 of the prequels, and I was like, okay, this will cost me nothing to just take these home and rewatch them all over the span of a week or so, and I can see like maybe I'll enjoy them more this time.
Right.
I did not. Those movies, if anything, they have fallen considerably in my esteem. Time has not been kind to them. They are not just like, kind of disappointing Star Wars movies, they are atrocious films.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, they're really bad.
See, I'm curious. I'm curious to know what I'll think of them, because I'm really expecting total garbage.
Yeah.
Right? And when somebody hypes something up for you, you can't help but be a little disappointed, because you're like, it's good, but it's not as good as they said it would be. So I'm wondering if it's like the opposite.
The opposite,
true.
yeah.
Like, this is going to be total garbage. And I'll be like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm like, this is actually kind of decent, because I've waited so long. I have a good perspective on it. And I also never loved Star Wars like you did, so I don't have like that like emotional attachment to it. And then to where like I don't feel like somebody actually like killed a family member.
Yeah, no, well, it wasn't. See, I never had that reaction. Even at the time, I remember when I was thinking, like, that's not very good. But I never felt like I've never been one of those people that gets personally offended when somebody kind of rewrites our childhood cultural lexicon. I mean, we're fucking kids, so what?
I don't know. I'm personally offended by the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies.
Ooh, yeah, that trailer. I saw it. Speaking of Star Wars, I saw the new Star Wars last night. And
you did?
I did, yeah.
Okay. In preparation for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
And they had the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trailer before it, and man, like, I wanted that trailer over so quickly.
Did you see the first one?
I didn't. No.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Bad. The great thing about the Ninja Turtles was that, as goofy as they were, they operate at night. They're ninjas. They're stealthy. I don't think any of the first movie took place at night. Like, they're like careening down highways and avalanches and like all sorts of crazy shit's happening.
They're like,
it's all right out in the open for everyone
they're
to
like
see.
waiting at the bus stop, and like everyone's staring at them, and they're just like, hey. Oh, and he like puts his glasses on. Sorry.
Cowabunga.
Yeah.
Awful. Just awful. Yeah, and there were none of like that would have been a better scene than anything that was in the actual movie. There were all these like charming little things like in the original like 1990 TMNT. They were all like these like kind of like adorable scenes, right? Like where it's like
those are okay
charming
movies, yeah.
Like, I don't know about 2 and 3. Like, I haven't watched them recently, but I did watch the first one like not that long ago, and it really holds up. I think it's better now as an adult than it was when I was a kid. You don't say that about many movies, but the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was great.
Yeah,
really great.
Yeah, but
what was your take on Star Wars?
It was okay. I mean, it was a
better than all the prequels.
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
but not better.
It
than
actually
the
made
trilogy.
sense.
That's good.
See, that's the thing. The prequels are. It's not just. I mean, there are some parts with the prequels that are kind of grating if you really enjoy the originals, because it's like they change things in unnecessary ways and make them more boring. But the biggest issue with the prequels is that they just don't make sense. Yeah. Characters are acting completely illogically all the time. People say things that are just dumb, and it's not like dumb banter. It's like, why would you say that? This is not how human beings are. Like, the dialogue, they're fascinating train wreck movies because they had such huge budgets, so everything is glossy and you can see all the money up on the screen.
Right.
But from an actual like structural standpoint, they're like a really bad indie film. Like, it's like the people who are making this feel like they've never made a movie before, which is insane.
Right. Right. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, the original Star Wars they're pulpy, fun sci-fi movies. They're not high art, and that's fine. Like, and the new one was a fairly pulpy, fun sci-fi movie. But the prequels are just shitty. Like, they're dull and nonsensical.
Stupid question. Mm-hmm. Because I had a conversation about this last night, and I thought everybody was on the same page about how to watch Star Wars movies if you've never seen them before, or if you're going to rewatch them. It's 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, right? Do you watch them in the order that they were released?
I would say so, assuming that you're okay with things kind of gradually going downhill until you get to 7, and it's like, okay.
But story-wise, in terms of like reveals, it's like the point of it's like yes, it's a logical progression from 1 through 6 or 1 through 7, but the way things are revealed, it would be even. I'd assume it'd be even more boring if you watched them in order.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would say, but you received conflicting opinions last night.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was just I was having a conversation with somebody, and he's like, yeah, well, now that they're all out, you can watch them from beginning to end. I'm like, well, you could. That'd be like what they're, doing to Beyond Two Souls. And it's like, oh yeah, the PS4 re-release, you're gonna be able to play it in straight through in order.
Oh, okay.
Which I can't imagine would be a bad thing. I couldn't figure out why they jumped around in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably just to heighten dramatic tension or something.
Which they didn't do very well.
No. Yeah, that was not a good game.
No, I'm gonna play it again. Because I'm a glutton for punishment. Mike, we have so much news to talk about.
All right, let's do that.
All right. First and foremost, and again, if you watched last week's, which there weren't many of you, stop Thundercloud. We, poor kid, man.
I know, he's going to be so bummed.
Provided hours of awful entertainment for everybody over the course of the last year, and he's going to have 1 hour less a week. I'll have, however, an hour more a week.
Well, significantly more than that if what you've said about editing is...
I've gotten good at editing because I've stopped editing. You've noticed that there's been no gameplay footage or any visual gags over the course of the last couple months. So Sony is taking suggestions for backward compatibility on PS2 games for PS4.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going to be awful. Because the only people I trust less than Sony to make decisions on which games to put out are the
other fans.
Other gamers, yeah. Because you know what it's going to be. It's going to be, Killzone!
Yeah.
Oni!
Oni.
Right? It's like, I mean, already the selections they've made, I'm actually impressed that they got a couple level 5 games up there, Dark Cloud 1 and...
No, those have some clout to them.
No.
We'll probably see, Final Fantasy, all the Final Fantasy games, I would bet.
Yeah. But and Capcom just re-registered the Onimusha trademark in Japan. So I'm hoping that means... Okay, well, let me just ask you, what PS2 games do you want to see on PS4? And keeping in mind that Sony did exactly what I didn't want them to do for the PS2 emulation. This isn't fucking emulation, by the way. They were like, PS2 backward compatibility.
Yeah, it's like you put in the game and that...
Yeah, this is not backward compatibility. This is barely emulation. This is them taking a game, up-resing it, adding trophy support, and then putting it on PS4. And I'm like, that's fine, but call it what it is. It's a PS2 store.
Yeah.
You're just selling us games again. The same games that I already own. See, that's everything I didn't want. But now that we've got it, I'm like, hey, you know what? They have trophies. And like I was saying, Jobby and I had a little conversation about this. Trophies make you feel like you're accomplishing something. There's a visual record. There's a list of stuff that you've ever beaten. There's a list of how much stuff you've done in it. And I'm like, and that makes me feel like every time I play an old game, I'm psyched to be playing an old game. It doesn't have that visual record, which is sort of why I like doing the reviews.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, then there's my new visual record.
Start keeping a list. That's what I do.
Yeah. I'm not that good at lists. What games do you want to play?
A lot of the games I really liked have already been ported around, so it's not super hard to track them down. But I'd like to see Final Fantasy XII. Mm-hmm. That's a great game. The level 5 games would definitely be up there. Dark Cloud and Rogue Galaxy.
Rogue Galaxy's up.
Yeah, I did hear about that one.
There's only a few, but
yeah. The Shin Megami Tensei games. I mean, again, a lot of those have been ported around, but those are fun ones. The Mega Man collections. I mean, we're
about to get
getting more of
the
those,
physical legacy collection, right?
Yeah.
In January, I think.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, but they've got there was a Mega Man X collection on the PS2 as well, which I actually think there had been some qualms people had with the original Mega Man collection that some of the things didn't function quite right.
On the GameCube, weren't the buttons backwards?
The buttons were
and you
reversed.
Couldn't change them.
No, they were the correct way on the PS2 version. So, but some people had complained about some issues with the emulation, and I don't think they had those same problems with the X collection. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of good stuff on the PS2. That's probably one of my largest collect. It's to the size that it's kind of hard for me to think back. Oh, what games are there? Let me think for a minute.
Well, if you want to take a look,
I can turn around to see your stuff. Yeah,
Amiibos are sort of in the way.
Shadow Hearts are great games, and those. I feel like anybody that liked Final Fantasy X, which I think I was kind of lukewarm on it, but it seems like everybody else, that's one of the
when it came out, no one liked it, and then and people really love it now in retrospect.
Yeah, but if people enjoy those, the Shadow Hearts games are right there. They're very clearly modeled along those lines.
For me, there's no question. It's the Fatal Frame games. I've been asking for an HD Fatal Frame collection for a while, and if this is the only way I can get them, I'll take them. So Fatal Frame 1, 2, 3. As you notice, I only have the first 2 dot hack games because those have become ridiculously expensive.
Those are crazy expensive.
And now that CyberConnect is sort of like back in the... CyberConnect 2 is back in the in the spotlight. I think they're the potential for that happening is possible.
Yeah.
You heard that they're developing Final Fantasy VII remake.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
We did.
Yeah, we've gone over that.
Yeah, it's scary. What do you think about this whole episodic release thing?
I've never been one of those people. I mean, I like Final Fantasy VII well enough, but I've never been one of those people. Even at the time it came out, I was like, oh, this is fun, but I still like 6 more.
Yeah.
And I've never been one of those people that was clamoring for a remake, because I feel like that's a game that is very hard to go back to. And so doing a straight-up remake would be problematic, but restructuring it, I feel like would lose a lot of the I almost feel like a what they call a demake, like doing it as like a 16-bit game would almost be better. But I heard they were changing the battle system to make it more like Crisis Core, which
I mean, it looks all real time.
Yeah. Which I mean,
Crisis Core was real time.
It's that same. It was the same active time, but it was you could move around the area. I mean, it was similar to like a Vagrant Story or a Parasite Eve, where like it's sort of real time, but it's still turned. Like you can move around.
And I actually like the Parasite Eve battle system quite a bit.
Yeah, it's fine, but there was a part of me that just felt like, why does everything have to be like action-y now? Why can't we have... And I mean, Final Fantasy was already... The active time battle system was sort of real time,
right?
Anyways, it was the sort of happy medium between real time and turn based, and so there was a part of me that's like, all right, like I know why you're doing this, but I don't
know why they're doing this.
Well, because that's what everyone wants.
They're saying episode 1 is all going to take place in Midgar.
That's probably be the only one that's worth playing then.
Here's my bet, and it's not a bet worth taking because you'll never see the results of this one. It's the only one that's going to come out.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that this game's in trouble already. I think that saying that it's going to come out episodically means that they're scared about a development cycle. They're scared that it's going to take too long. So, in their claims that each episode is going to be the length of a regular game means nothing. What is the length of a regular game? 10 hours, 12 hours for an Uncharted game, 60 hours for a Final Fantasy game, or 30, depending on what you're playing. It doesn't mean anything, and so and there's already reports that like Square and CyberConnect aren't agreeing on what's going on over there. It's like, this is bad news. I think we'll see the first episode, and then it's going to get really fucking messy after that. We might see a second one leak out if the sales for the first one are good, but it's a mess, man.
Yeah, and this is kind of why I felt like, for years everyone's like, why don't they make a Final Fantasy VII remake? They're just printing money. Like, it's so everyone loves that game, everyone would buy it. This is exactly why. It's because that's one of the few games that I feel like has transcended that. Everyone, like you said, everyone likes Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
Everyone's fucking banana balls for Final Fantasy VII. It's one of those games that it's so much hype that trying to redo it, there was no way it wasn't going to be a clusterfuck.
Yep. I think you're absolutely right.
And I feel like this is going to kind of piss in the well. They've been milking Final Fantasy VII for like 15 years, and there hasn't really been like a slackening off. I mean, despite the fact that everybody, other than Crisis Core and one or two other things, everybody's been kind of bitching about how all the little spin-offs and re-releases don't measure up to the original. Yeah. But they've done a pretty good job of, kind of keeping the money train along. Sephiroth and Cloud are still, like, really popular figures.
True. Cloud just came to Smash. I mean, how...
Yeah.
That's pretty relevant.
Yeah, but now I feel like this is going to come out, and if it's not... It's going to be a disaster, like you said, and then it's going to be a lot harder for them to go back, because everyone's going to be like, oh, Final Fantasy VII, it's that game that sucked.
Right. Right. I feel like they did the right thing. They just put out the PC port on PS4.
Yeah, hey, why not?
Right, that's permission to print money.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's what that is.
And that's from what I've heard. I've never played the PC port, but I've heard that's kind of the best version.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I really hate the super deformed character models in that one.
Yeah, they're nasty.
because it's the weird big polygons from the PlayStation one.
Yeah.
But they're all smoothed out in a weird way where it just looks like you're playing with these like really fucked up plastic dolls.
Yeah.
That like are just, I mean, super deformed is in a bad way.
Yeah, they're like Lego men that have been in the microwave a little bit.
Yeah, totally. So Fallout 4's Nuka-Cola Quantum returns to Target. Well, the article says next week, but it is actually a couple days ago.
Oh, man. I should go get some. Oh, did you get... Oh, nice.
Yep.
Oh, that doesn't look like how it looks in
Shut up. Don't touch it. So here's the deal. It was in stores Friday.
I'm just, like, quietly drinking it over the course of the podcast.
It came to stores Friday morning, and it was sold out by Friday morning.
Wow.
This is their second shipment, and there may not be another. This might be it. So the deal was, it's a $3 bottle of soda. I went in, because here's my stupid story of the week. So I go to Target, and I wake up super early, right? I'm like, and I question myself. I'm like, should I go right away? Should I just like sleep in? I got to work, It's like I don't know what to do. But I woke up and I looked at my clock and I was like, I could totally go to Target and be like right there. And I promised myself that if there was a line waiting outside Target for this fucking soda, I was just going to drive right home and get back in bed because I wasn't dealing with that shit. But I got there, and there were a bunch of cars around, but no one standing in front of the doors. It's like, fuck this. I walked right up to the door, and somebody walked it right up before me, and we were all just standing there, just me and this other person, and I'm, like, behind him, and then I see, like, kind of out of my peripheral, lots of other people. It's like a zombie invasion, like, coming up behind me. And so, like, in the invasion was about, I don't know, there's probably, like, 16, 17 of us total. And one guy, after we're all staying there for, like, 5 minutes, like, in silence, one guy goes, I'm going to guess we're all here for the same thing. And I looked at him like, there's no way we're all here for fucking blue soda. Like, that can't be a thing, right? Because I looked around, and it's like, I mean, the most diverse group of people ever, right? Ethnicities, genders, like, I don't...
That's amazing. Did you take a picture by any chance?
No, absolutely not. Because I didn't even want to look at anybody. Because in my head, I was like, I don't want to say Nuka-Cola Quantum. What if they're all here for something cool?
Yeah.
Right? And so I kind of like looked at him and went, and somebody else did the same thing, and he goes, "Can we make a deal?" I was like, "No, I'm not making a deal." He goes, "Can we all just be fair and share?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, of course."
Yeah.
I'm like, that's totally cool. Because I assume we're gonna walk in and there's gonna be a big display rack of Nuka-Cola Quantum, and it's gonna be $3 each, just like it had been. Nope, we get there. Nowhere to be found. So we're all so I'm kind of like leading this herd of people
That's so awesome.
Into the electronics section, and we're the only people in the store, just like small herd, just like going through the aisles, and no one's like trying to run around and like get in front of. We're all
that's
just being,
awesome.
We're being very civil, the 20 of us at this point, and we're all just like briskly walking together, but not really. We're ready to throw some fists, but hopefully not. And we asked this smirmy guy, man, like the guy.
Which one were you at?
Millbury.
Okay, yeah.
The guy who was standing behind in the electronics section, right? He was standing there. He had just this knowing look on his face, and he was just I hated him. I hated him from the get go, right? I absolutely hated him, and he was like, "What are you guys looking for?" Just knowingly, right? And one girl was like, "Do you have Nuka-Cola Quantum?" And he was like, "Yep." And so we're all like, all right, that's what we're all here for. And he's like, so you can buy either the game Fallout 4 and get it for free, or you can buy the season pass and get it for free. I was like, I just want the soda. He's like, that's the only way you can buy it.
You're shitting me.
I'm not shitting you. And I looked up later. I did see that this was legit, and I thought he was just being schemy. I thought he was trying to do something fucked up. And I'm like, dude, I am 90 hours in to Fallout 4, and I bought the fucking Pip-Boy Collector's Edition that came with Season Pass. I'm like, I need nothing. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what can I sell? What will be easier to sell on eBay, right? And I'm like, well, most people probably have the game already. Let me get Season Pass. At least that's cheaper, $30 instead of $60. And I didn't realize there was a limit of 2. I could have fucking bought 2, but I just bought the 1 because there's a group of us. We're all trying to be nice. And I bought the 1. I bought the Season Pass. And he didn't even ask me what Season Pass I wanted, the Xbox One or PS4. so I get home, I look in this Xbox One Season Pass, which, again, I already have the Season Pass, but still, he didn't even ask, because he knew I didn't care.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, well, we're probably not going to be able to get rid of these. Let's throw this one in. So I immediately sell it on eBay for like $25 instead of like $30. Right? So I didn't take like a huge hit.
Yeah.
But damn, who the fuck puts out Nuka-Cola Quantum for the fans of a game that came out a month ago and asked you to buy the game? It's like,
wow.
Who is this for? Right? That is Target saying, we're going to get people in, we're going to force them to spend money. And it fucking worked.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah. It does.
Like you said, it's not, it's yeah. That's
because they're in like a rocket-shaped bottle.
Yeah. There are, if you look on eBay, there are people who have like made much cooler versions of both Quantum and the regular Nuka-Cola just by tearing off a label on like a Coca-Cola bottle, altering it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanted the official one, and I posted a picture of the bottle and the Ultra Despair Girls Collector's Edition behind it on Facebook yesterday, with just the caption, "I have a stupid life." Everyone liked it.
Nice.
My mom liked that picture.
I was, for a minute there, I thought you were building towards like an end of Reservoir Dogs type scene where like everyone walks up to the store and then you all just pull out guns and shoot each other, and like you were the Mr. Pink hiding under the stairs and you just like crawl out and go into the store and buy them all.
Limit 2 per customer. That would have been a murder not worth it.
Yeah.
Not worthwhile. All right, let's see what we got here. This is I hate this news story. Evan Campbell from IGN reports that Recore, the Xbox One exclusive, which so far we have only seen like a 20-second CG.
Yeah, I don't even know if I've heard anything about that game.
Yeah, we don't know anything about it except for this dumb CG trailer, which again means it's not.
Yeah.
It hadn't been made yet. Like somebody was like, "Hey, I got an idea for a game," and they haven't made the game yet. Let's see. It's made by Armature Studios, the co-founder. Mark Pacini gives a few hints about the game, and he, quote, "Recore at its heart harks back to a different era in gaming and trying to put a new spin on it, based on games that myself and Kenji Inafune-san have done in the past that aren't really being done anymore." So again, a game that we've seen nothing of except a trailer. He's like, oh, hey, it's like Metroid and Legend of Zelda. It's going to be awesome. It's just like those old games that you love. But we haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that shit.
Well, Kenji Inafune is the Mega Man guy, though, so that's a good sign. Although most of the projects he's been involved in since Mega Man...
Well, haven't even come out yet, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because we're still waiting for Mighty Number 9. And what was the...
Red Ash.
That's not out.
Which didn't make its Kickstarter goal.
Come on.
And there was a... Was that the one where there was like a hubbub because it turned out that he was actually getting money from a studio too?
Oh, I don't know.
I think that was. It didn't make its Kickstarter goal, but then it's going to get made anyways, so whatever.
All right. Well, fuck it. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with Mighty Number 9, because that got delayed a couple times. And
yeah.
I'd like to see... I'm curious. You see that the PlayStation Now subscription... is more like Netflix now. It's $100 for a year instead of it was like $20 a month.
Was it? I thought it was like $5 a month.
Oh no, PlayStation Now, not PlayStation Plus.
Oh, okay.
So the PS3 streaming service.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I was getting them mixed up.
Yeah. It's it's a much better deal now, but still, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, because it hasn't, from what we've been talking about before, it doesn't run super great, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. If you're playing a game that doesn't require like fast twitch like action, like you're not playing a Call of Duty or a first person shooter. I mean, there's plenty of games. Like I played, what did I play on that when I was part of the beta? I played Papa EO.
Okay.
Yeah, which a little bit of platforming, but mostly a story driven game.
Yeah.
And I did not like it, the game or the controls. Like there was a delay.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's no good.
I feel like it would be impossible to do that type of thing without a delay. I can't imagine how that would work.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to have such solid bandwidth.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not like streaming a movie or music where the signal is only going one way. I mean, with a video game, it's back and forth. There's input and output. So, yeah, even for something low tech like an original PlayStation game, I think.
Right, and these are PS3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did see, I'm sure, that Platinum Games is making a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
No, I didn't hear that, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it based off the movies?
I don't care. I don't care. So I feel like Platinum Games and Telltale Games are having very similar issues lately. They are both small studios taking on way too much, and it's starting to show. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played Bayonetta 2. That a lot of people consider that the pinnacle of their catalog.
Sure, but then followed right up with Transformers. It's like 2-3 hour game. It's like very basic. Didn't seem like super awesome. And is Scalebound ever going to come out? Right? And then this. It's like guys, just focus. You know, Telltale's, I think, far worse. I mean, they're going to do a Batman game now. Did you see that?
That could be okay.
No, I'm sure it'll be good, but I want them to update their engine.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, what, they've done Game of Thrones, they've done... I mean, since... Telltale was kind of, like, not a very good developer just a couple years ago. Like, Okay, for me personally, I know I'm probably in the minority here, but the Monkey Island games they made, I did not like at all. I thought they ran kind of like garbage, and I didn't think they were nearly as good as the original ones. And then they did like Back to the Future, which I really hated, and then they did the Jurassic Park games, which were horrible. I mean, and they were all like the same clunky like decision making.
They're old. There was definitely a change around the time when the Walking Dead game came out.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, when
that was the turning point.
They went from being like point-and-click adventure games to almost more like
choose your own adventure,
like a Heavy Rain kind of deal. Which we've talked about it before, but I liked their older stuff too. I thought they were solid.
Did you play Jurassic Park?
I didn't play Jurassic Park.
Play it, and then maybe they'll taint your vision of their past.
Yeah,
it's really bad. Did you play the Back to the Future one?
No.
I
did buy that recently though.
PS4.
Yeah.
So. This is what I'll say about that. The PS4 versions of like the older ones that I've played run much better and they look much better. They just feel better all around. But when you're already dealing with like a not so great game with a not so great engine, like it just makes things worse.
Yeah, they were kind of kludgy. And you're right that Monkey Island and Sam & Max were not as good as the originals.
I will say I've never played their Sam & Max games.
They're probably
although I bet if I look behind me, they're probably sitting on my bookshelf. They're totally right there.
Yeah, they were probably my favorites of the ones that they did.
Right.
They weren't quite as good as, well, I don't know. Actually, one of the Sam & Max ones was really, really good.
Oh wait, I played one of them that was on PS3. I didn't like that either. Man, I used to drink a lot. I don't know. I don't have any proper perspective on anything.
Well, that's great. It's you can experience them for the first time again. A lot of people would kill for that.
That's actually my problem with Lord of the Rings. I was heavily drinking when I tried to watch those, and I was like, these are boring.
Yeah, that is not. Those are not movies you can get through drunk or stone. I would say under the influence of anything, those would be kind of problematic.
Yeah, I don't know. I bet I could smoke some pot and be really into those. Be like,
I don't know. I think
you just have to keep smoking the whole time.
I think it's the same thing. I think the slower scenes would polish you off.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe if you did a bunch of coke and then like the battle scenes.
I can't sit still when I do coke. I mean, I've never done coke. What are you talking about? Yeah. Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red's next game. The Witcher.
They were,
yeah. We all expected this was going to be years off. They're targeting a 2016 release.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not a huge studio either. I'm a little scared because this is the Witcher game I want to play.
It's a Cyberpunk Witcher?
Well, I mean, based on the title alone, I'd hope it's Cyberpunk. Yeah, exactly. Like open world Cyberpunk Witcher style game. I'm like, that sounds great.
Yeah, there haven't been too many really futuristic open world games when you think about it. I mean, even something like Fallout, which is sci-fi. I mean, that's post-apocalyptic.
Right.
Some of the games that had bigger worlds like Deus Ex was really.
Did you call it Deus Ex?
I did call it Deus Ex.
Interesting.
Deucin.
On purpose?
Yeah. No, but I mean that wasn't really an open world game. That was a fairly linear game, just with larger areas to work around in.
Yeah. I'm curious. People are calling Witcher 3 Game of the Year.
Yeah, that's...
Brett's not calling it that. Brett jumped off a cliff on accident and never went back to it.
Yeah.
Dude,
he saved midway down I'm stuck. Fuck this game.
I love Brett because first, he's awesome. But second, because he will recklessly buy games way more than I ever will.
He's basically like... how you are to me, he is to you.
Yeah. So you must look at him and be like, what's wrong with this guy? Because it is, because
Brett's like the Kramer-esque wacky neighbor of the podcast.
No, absolutely. What's Jobby?
Newman.
No. No, that's just me. No, we love Jobby. Yeah. So yes, that's just funny. Like I bring up The Witcher to Brett and he's like, fuck that game, and I'm like, dude, it's like literally like people are talking about it as if it's better than Fallout, as if it's better than Batman, as if it's better than Bloodborne, as if it's better than Dying Light. All of these games that are in contender for Game of the Year, people are like, this is far better, period. And I mean, to CD Projekt Red's credit, it really wasn't a glitchy game. From all accounts, I haven't played it, but I mean, Bethesda. It took Bethesda how many years to make Fallout, and it's fucking glitchy as hell.
Yeah.
But yet here's Witcher from a smaller team that's like pretty fucking rock solid for an open world game that looks far better than Fallout, like visually. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brett jumps off a cliff, never plays it again.
He does. I mean, I think you and I play games a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But he plays them very differently than the two of us.
Yeah. Well, I think he's got also good. And we're just sitting here talking about Brett.
Yeah. It's the brain.
As long as he knows.
Just have like a big soft lit picture of him with like a little heart around it.
And then it'll sound like he didn't survive the heart surgery, right? We're honoring his memory.
It's a podcast.
Yeah, as long as everyone's aware that we are not, talking
memorializing.
Shit. We're not talking shit about him.
No.
No. This is I love this about him.
Yeah.
Like he tries to play everything, and then but ends up playing nothing. Very much like me. But he's got a good deal going with his brother. They go half and half on almost every game, and then they get to buy twice as many games. So if one doesn't work for you, well, maybe the next one does, which is pretty cool. Although I do feel bad that he's paid full price for Need for Speed.
Yeah.
Which is like,
as long as he didn't pay full price for Tony Hawk.
He hasn't bought that.
Yeah.
That did just get a release on last-gen consoles, though.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they stealth released it. They didn't even tell anybody.
I saw. Well, they did like an updated release or something recently, didn't they? Where it's like Tony Hawk 5. It works this time.
There's been 2 patches, and each patch has been bigger than the original game. So that means they're not just patching the game; they're replacing the game.
Yeah, that's
twice
great.
now. Twice. That's not a patch anymore. That's a replacement.
When they were sending out the first patch, one guy just like spilled his coffee on the console. Oh shit!
I think that's what happened when they made the first game. They're like, oh, it's fine.
He's getting all freaked out. And they're like, no, it's okay. We'll patch it again. It's fine. Don't worry.
So when I was playing Among the Sleep, my thought wasn't, oh, this is an amazing game. My thought was, this is so cool because this is sort of like the beginning of like the floodgates opening. All these cool. Not that we haven't gotten indie games, but like a lot of the indie games we've gotten from PC have been like that 8 or 16-bit style, right? And I'm like, but what about games like The Park or Gone Home, right? And those are coming now. But Among the Sleep just happened.
Octodad came out a while ago too.
Octodad, yeah. Right? So, they did announce that despite all the financial troubles they were having, that Fulbright Studios is bringing Gone Home. Finally, I'm finally going to get to play it, even though I own it on my PC. Bringing Gone Home to PS4 and Xbox One on, I'm just going to say January 14th because my phone won't open up. January 12th.
Close.
I almost had it. Let's see. This is Andrew Goldfarb. Hey, I love that guy. From IGN. Gone Home will still be released on PS4 and Xbox One in partnership with Midnight City, despite financial troubles at Majesco independent publishing label. Midnight City's plan to publish Gone Home on consoles was originally announced way back in March 2014, but Fulbright designer Steve Gaynor said earlier this year the deal had come to an end, leaving the console version not actively in development at the time. It appears things have worked out in the end. There's no word on the Wii U version mentioned by Nintendo last year, but we've reached out to Fulbright Studios to find out if it's still in the works. And we'll update this story with any comment we receive. No update, by the way.
I mean, that's a game that could definitely run on the Wii U. I mean, it's fairly lo-fi.
But if you don't have a lot of money to be porting these things out, the Wii U is not where you're porting anything.
No, I can't.
It took them this long to get Minecraft.
Yeah.
And there's no touchpad features. It's like they just basically shit that game out on Wii U and said, here, for the 10 million people who want to play it on Wii U and only for some reason have a Wii U, here you go. That's a studio that's got more money than God at this point. Does God have money? That's a weird question.
He doesn't need money. He's got babes.
All right.
Oop.
Super Mario Galaxy is reportedly coming to Wii U. It's not a HD update. It is just the Wii game on Wii U on the digital store.
Great.
I was unaware that Super Mario Galaxy 2 was already there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Here's my question for Nintendo, I guess, but maybe you can answer for them. What the fuck are they doing? The Wii... Okay, so if you put a GameCube game in a Wii, it works.
Yep.
If you put a Wii game in a Wii U, it works. There is some kind of cross-compatibility going on with these systems. So how come when the Wii U came out, every fucking GameCube game that ever came out and every fucking Wii game that ever came out, maybe not all of them, there were some bad ones.
Just a couple.
A couple.
Yeah.
Right. They should have all been on a digital store from the get-go. Be like, hey, here's the Wii U. It's got every game we've ever put out in the last decade. Ta-da!
Yeah.
That would have sold crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't even really gone into the Wii U store that much. There hasn't been that much that I've really been thinking of getting. Yeah. But our occasional contributor, John, was telling me the virtual console on the Wii U is much more anemic than the Wii one was.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
You'd think that would just be free money.
Yeah.
And you got 10 million users who are desperate for content, right? They're just like, they're not getting the games that PS4 and Xbox One are getting. Take care of those people, because those are going to be the early adopters of the NX.
Yeah. And all of Nintendo's stuff ages really well, too. So it's not like they just don't want to port it because it's garbage. Like, I would say that Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are still eminently enjoyable nowadays. And they're still, I mean, GameStop's still selling them for like $30.
Yeah, those have not got down. Not lower than that. And... I mean, and I've said this multiple times. I play Game Boy Advance games on my Retron 5. Full screen, 50-inch HD TV. The Game Boy Advance games still look good. They look like Super Nintendo games. Unbelievable. Fucking all those should be on there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Those have been a real struggle to get out in the Virtual Console. The Game Boy Advance games. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the technological back end, but I mean, with the emulator support that we just have on the internet, in this kind of shady, free, illegal arena,
right.
like how hard can it be for Nintendo, the company that's actually fucking paying people to do this kind of stuff,
right.
to get them to construct a functional emulator of those systems?
It's ridiculous. Despite its $150 price tag, Microsoft can't keep Xbox One Elite controllers in stock. Surprising.
Why? What?
They probably made like 10 of them. They're like, no one's going to buy this.
Yeah. So what's the difference between the Elite and the regular?
I don't know. God, I don't actually have that information here. The whole thing is customizable, right? There are 4 triggers on the back.
And there's a little slot you can put your dick in.
That would be amazing. There's triggers on the back that are customizable. Like the whole thing is just like a better build, and it's a really expensive controller for the real hardcore gamer. I was asking myself this, despite having an Xbox One, I never use it. So I was asking myself this: if PlayStation, Sony put out a $150
solid gold controller,
I can't imagine what they could do to it to make me want to buy a controller that's that expensive. But hey, good for Microsoft. They are definitely. So I don't know if you've noticed this. Microsoft has not been putting out any sales figures for anything.
That's we had talked about it the last time. You said they stopped putting out sales figures
for everything.
Yeah,
for everything. Even they just came out.
That's a good sign.
Oh yeah, they just came out with a.
So whenever a company's doing well, they don't want anybody to know.
No.
It's gauche to oversell yourself like that.
Yeah, they even announced, with all reports of Rise of the Tomb Raider like doing horribly, Microsoft, made an announcement that they're very happy with the sales, but yet didn't tell us what those sales were. It didn't make the top 20 on the NPD.
It's like when celebrities divorce and they're like, we wish each other all the best. And they're like throwing shit at each other as they pull out of the driveway.
Listen, when Rise of the Tomb Raider doesn't make the top 20 of the NPD, and the 20th game on the NPD list is Just Dance for not Wii U, but Wii.
For the Wii.
Something went horribly wrong. Right? I mean, not 100,000 copies sold. Not 50,000 copies sold. I'm going to bet, if we ever hear numbers, we're in the range of like 25,000 copies of Rise of the Tomb Raider sold. I would guarantee that's how much. Like, roughly. That game came out on a day that Fallout 4 came out. On a system that is selling at less than half the pace of its competitor. We're estimating 14 million Xbox Ones out there, which is, roughly 32 million PS4s out there. This game will get sent out to die. But at least they're selling really expensive controllers for their system.
There we go. For those couple people that don't want. So I want to derail for a moment. So I was at a store the other day when you were talking about selling for the Wii. I was thinking to myself, a lot of people bought Wiis, though. I mean, that almost kind of makes sense, because that's still, for people who are not like us and kind of always chasing the cutting edge. Yeah. I mean, if you've got a system and you played a lot of games that you liked on it, and there's something new and fairly inexpensive that's coming out, why not? But I was at a store, I was at a Target the other day, and a woman was asking one of the clerks, "Oh, do you sell Wiis and Nintendo Wii?" And he's like, "Well, we have a Wii U. We sell the Wii U." And she said, "No, I'm looking for a Wii." And I'm thinking, like, man, you can get a Wii for like $50 at GameStop nowadays. Like, go knock yourself out, And he was like, "Oh no, we don't sell the Wii anymore. But the Wii U is really good. It's got this and that." And like, he's clearly upselling her. Right. And she was like, "Oh, well, what kind of games can you play on?" And he's like, "Oh, good ones. Good, you can play good." And she's like, "Okay, I'll take a Wii U." And I was like, who does that? It's like $300, and you're just like, "Oh, okay, I can't find the thing that I want at one store, so I'll buy something else for hundreds of dollars." Like it.
At least it plays Wii games.
Oh,
At
yeah.
least we'll give her that.
I mean, like, it can do what she wants, but, like, this woman clearly knows nothing about video games and was just like, okay. Like, man, even for shit like, I mean, I don't know anything about cars, but I still, like, shop around when I have to buy, like, parts for a car or something. Like, I don't really know a lot.
That sounds like a lot of work. I literally get my car towed to the place I'm going to get it fixed at, leave the keys in the ignition, and leave a note on it that says, "Fix me."
Fix me.
Yeah.
With a little frowny face.
Yeah. Yeah. With my phone number.
Yeah.
And then they call me back and they say, "We broke your car, and it's going to cost you more money." Yeah. Do you ever fall asleep while watching Netflix?
No.
People do this all the time.
I would assume so.
I watch it from bed.
I fell asleep playing Fallout the other day.
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah. I mean, I played it 8 hours at a time. It's a full work day right there. Sometimes a coffee's not enough.
You're like, why am I not getting a paycheck? Where is my last pay stub? Is really late.
Nicole Carpenter Nicole Carpenter from IGN,
From
of course.
the Carpenter's fame.
Netflix recognizes... yeah, nope, that's not her. Netflix recognizes that it's easy to fall asleep during a long binge-watching session. Well, it's good of them to recognize. The streaming service has developed a pair of socks that solves that problem.
What?
Yeah, I'm not sure what problem this is. As these socks will pause your show when you've fallen asleep.
How?
The socks use a method called actigraphy. Yeah, actigraphy. Or actigraphy. Actigraphy, let's go with that.
All right,
sounds
yeah,
horrible.
that sounds okay.
As the sleep detection system, when the accelerometer senses that you've stopped moving for a while. So it also works if you happen to die.
You died during
at
that.
Least your loved ones.
You can pick up where you left off. Oh man, hopefully you're not. Hopefully you're not watching something like erotic and you're like jerking off and you have a heart attack. So they're like, oh my god, he's dead. But at least we know what he was really into.
Right? Nothing about this works for me. So it triggers a signal to your TV that pauses Netflix. A red LED light in the cuff of the sock will flash when the socks think you're asleep, a warning that the TV's about to pause. Any movement during the flashing will stop the signal from sending. Netflix notes that the accelerometer is very sensitive to little movement, so it's good at detecting when you're just sitting still, rapidly watching Netflix, and when you've actually fallen asleep.
That's so weird. Like, from a purely, I don't know, clinical level, I guess that's an okay idea. But there's something so weird about, like, well, time to watch Netflix, and then you put something on. Like, that's...
Right, these are my Netflix socks. I need
these are my Netflix socks.
I need 7 pairs of these.
Oh, yeah, and, like, what do you... I mean, they
Can
must
you
have
wash them?
Yeah, they must have electronics in them. You can't put them through the wash. Yeah.
And also...
Feet are already kind of nasty.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like me and watch Netflix in bed. So if you have the covers over you and that little red light starts flashing that says, hey, we're about to turn Netflix off, I wouldn't notice that because it's under the covers at the other end of the bed.
Yeah.
Maybe if it vibrated or something.
Well, I was even thinking, like, can the signal... Because presumably the socks, they must send some kind of signal to whatever you're doing. If you're in bed, if you're under a ton of blankets, can the signal get through that even?
I mean, if it's like the PlayStation controllers are Bluetooth, right? I mean, and you can play those like.
Oh, okay.
Right?
All right.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
This sounds like the worst idea ever. But I do know what everyone's getting for Christmas.
Some nasty Netflix socks.
Yep. Pre-loved.
Pre-loved.
Mike, we've been talking for a long time, and we haven't talked about the biggest news of the week. Hideo Kojima is back from his vacation.
Yeah. He's back from his vacation.
Yep.
And he's out for blood.
He's officially... Him and Konami have officially parted ways.
Yeah.
Konami has recognized his departure for the first time. And he started...
He's just off on a really long vision quest.
Yep. He started his own studio, Kojima Productions. Very original name.
Yeah.
And
really tumbles off the tongue.
Yep. And they partnered with Sony for the release of their first game. Thoughts?
Their first game, plastic spring liquid.
There you go.
I mean, hey, it's fine. You know, Kojima has done some really interesting stuff when he wasn't working on Metal Gear, and this will probably force him to rein some shit in a little bit, since it's not like...
You think so?
Well...
Like,
I mean, he was a known... Obviously, he must have been doing something that put Konami off, because they tossed him.
Right.
But I did get the impression that he kind of had carte blanche to do what he wanted with Metal Gear.
Right.
Which is why it kind of gradually spiraled off into madness. And so I think another company... I mean, he was at least a known quantity at Konami, even if they didn't like what he was doing.
Yeah.
Where now, I mean, he's going to be... Obviously, Sony will be familiar with his work, but I would assume that they would want to have some kind of more hands-on than maybe Konami was taking.
See, I'm thinking the opposite.
You think they're just going to be like, it's Kojima, whoa.
Pretty much, right? And I think this can go one of two ways. He's either going to make, like, a Boktai game, right, where he can, like, shit out a game in a year. You know, for the first game, you don't... Like, do you really want it to be this big, massive AAA game that can bankrupt your newly formed studio?
Yeah.
Or, because it's got to be a new IP. It can't be a Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
It can't be Silent Hills. It can't be PT. Or it can't be Zone of the Enders. You do have a...
Because we knew that one was coming.
He announced it. Zone of the Enders 3 was supposed to, like,
I didn't
be in
know
development.
That. No, that's too bad.
Yeah,
those
it
are
was
pretty
gonna
okay.
happen. Yeah, pretty okay is definitely... what everyone thought about him. So, yeah, or it can be like this massive AAA game that takes what? I mean, you got to develop an engine, you got to develop a new franchise, you got to come up with all this stuff for starting from scratch. Like, when did Metal Gear Solid 4 come out? 2009?
Yeah, that was a while ago, yeah. I was still working, that was like 2 jobs ago for me. Yeah.
So, like, Peace Walker came out in the meantime, I think, but, like, it took 6 years for him to do Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
We can't... This might be a PlayStation 5 game. I mean, and that's not even joking. If it takes 5 years to develop his first game for the studio, PlayStation 4 is on its way up.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it can go one of two ways, and I guarantee that they want it to be a PS4 game. So, I'm thinking they're going to steer him maybe in a direction, be like, listen, we need you to come up with this game within a couple years, make it a little smaller, and then you can go do your big thing.
Yeah, and I think that would be great. I think having a little he's kind of a George Lucas type figure. I feel like although I think he is a more legitimate creator than George Lucas.
Yeah,
but I think he's somebody that, when just kind of left to his own devices, just goes in weird directions. Where he does have some really good impulses. He just needs somebody to kind of nudge him back onto the track when he starts getting weird. Yeah. Because some of his smaller games, like Snatcher, like the Boktai games, I'm not a huge fan of the Boktai games, but I appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah, I always got to put my Retron 5 into the sunlight. Like,
yeah.
This isn't working at all.
You're just hanging out the window.
Like
there's going to be a news clip one day. Local man falls to death. Trying to grab
strangled by 40-foot HDMI cord. Yeah,
I'm trying to grab the sun. He screamed moments before his plummeting.
Also, Konami announced that they're hiring for the next Metal Gear game.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I wonder how smart gamers are.
It's going to be George Lucas.
Yeah, he's going to need something big. I wonder how smart gamers are. Like Konami obviously treated Kojima very poorly. He's not allowed to talk about his time at Konami for a while. At least he's contractually still obligated to shut the fuck up. Really. I wonder. I will buy Metal Gear 5 eventually when I have time.
Yeah.
But I will not be buying 6 because I think Konami's done. I think Konami is done with the game's business. That was their intention until they saw the great sales of 5. And now they're just, like, oh, hey, let's get some developers in here.
Yeah.
Another question, who the fuck is going to work for these people?
I could see somebody doing it. I could see somebody stepping in, somebody, and I'm not going to name any names because I can't think of anybody, but I could see somebody, a kind of rising star talent being given the opportunity to do their first game, on Metal Gear. I could see somebody stepping into a game
to fill Kojima's shoes into a company that has just, really just like has the worst PR of any company right now. Like, they look worse than EA.
Oh yeah, yeah, I would say so.
Anyway, we'll see what happens. Final news story. This just was announced yesterday. Coming early in 2016.
Oh, I might have one then afterwards.
Motherfucker. Coming early in 2016, Coleco announces a new cartridge-based video game console. Yep. Hey, it's Nicole Carpenter again. Hey, what up? And in partnership with Retro Video Game Systems. That's a company. Retro Video Game Systems. All capital letters. Coleco has announced a new cartridge-based console system called the Coleco Chameleon. Chameleon comes a little over 30 years after the company's ColecoVision, which made IGN's list of the top 25 video game consoles of all time, really.
That's a pretty generous list.
Right, 25 consoles is a lot of consoles.
That's a lot, yeah.
You just hear all of the consoles ever made.
Yeah, you're kind of grabbing some Snickle Fritz with that one.
Released in 1982, ColecoVision was well known for bringing popular arcade games into the home. This is also,
whether you wanted them or not.
This is also the
bashing
greatest,
them through the windows.
Greatest article ever written right here. Sorry, Nicole. This is a fluff piece. Coleco claims the Chameleon will be a...
Sorry, she's got all those best-selling songs.
This is just going to get really confusing from here on out. Are you ready for this? Because I've read this article 14 times, and I have no idea what this thing does.
Okay.
Coleco claims the Chameleon will be a, quote, versatile new video game system that serves as a modern-day take on the classic game console, end quote, and is promised to, quote, accurately play classic games, end quote. The system will also play new 8, 16, and 32-bit games, all in the spirit of the, quote, golden age. Oh, motherfucker. What did I do? Oh, in the golden age of gaming, end quote. Retro Video Game Systems President Mike Kennedy calls it a, quote, love letter to the classic cartridge-based gaming systems that came before it, end quote. Kennedy thinks that it'll take gamers back to a simpler time. And he says that when games were all about great gameplay and fun factor. We can expect the Coleco Chameleon to launch in early 2016 and for a sneak peek at the Toy Fair New York 2016 from February 13th to 16th. No price has been announced. The console will be significantly more affordable than the first go-around. Was the ColecoVision expensive?
I was like 2 years old back then.
I don't remember when it was new, so...
Yeah.
So here's a couple pictures of what it'll look like, right?
I mean, it looks kind of cool.
But what the fuck are new 8, 16, and 32-bit games?
You know what this is? It's the same as a lot of these other... like retro re-release consoles. Mm-hmm. You know how you go to like a Target again or a Toys R Us and they have piles of like new Genesis and new Atari 26
40, 50 games or something,
but they'll usually have a slot that you can put cartridge games and stuff too. I guarantee you it's the same kind of shit. Like you can put all your old Coleco games in it and then there'll probably be some like some new games too that'll be like Pushing Blocks or throwing Angry Birds. But
to say you can put... There are going to be new 8, 16, and 32-bit games. I'm just confused.
Yeah, well, those will be new. They'll be, garbage fluff games, but...
So you think it's going to be that kind of crap?
Yeah, I think so.
That's really crap.
It's the same shit that you see on the new...
I know, but like this, the announcement doesn't sound like that. The announcement sounds really confusing.
Yeah. Well, because they don't want you to figure that out.
Right. So I'll be watching that because that's only like a month away. Yeah.
So the one news story I was going to bring up. So they had their final Smash Brothers update announcement the other day, and they've announced. So ostensibly, this is the last round of new stuff that we'll be getting for this.
Right.
And so along with Cloud, they also announced a new Fire Emblem character from the new game. And
that's what we needed.
Who gives a shit about that? I know, another dude with a sword.
Yep.
And as their final character, Bayonetta,
yep.
which is awesome. And totally appropriate. They always have to have their one, like, really M-rated game character in there that just seems a little bit off.
So they keep announcing, or they were for a long time announcing character after character after character. Where the fuck are the Ice Climbers?
So when the versions first came out, they had said, we will not release any characters on one system or the other. All the characters will be shared between the systems.
Right.
And I heard multiple times they say, we just can't get the functionality, the programming for the Ice Climbers to work on the 3DS, which seems crazy to me, but that's the only they must be telling the truth, because why else would they?
I have no idea.
I mean,
but why wouldn't they be able to make that happen? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I don't know enough about programming.
Neither do I. It's still ridiculous.
But it's too bad. But I would assume they must have, because other than somebody like Snake, they've brought back almost all of their old characters, presumably because it's easier to upgrade the programming on that. You've got the basic logical structure. You just have to put a new sheen on the graphics. I was a little surprised. I had assumed that we would actually get all of the old characters, like Wolf and Pichu, because again, how hard is it to just pop them over to a new system? But I'm quite pleased about Bayonetta. Kind of bummed about the Fire Emblem thing, because there's an awful lot of Fire Emblem characters in that game now.
Yeah. For a game that's not terribly popular here in the West.
Yeah. And I mean, in Japan, it's more popular, but I didn't ever really think it was one of Nintendo's breakout it still wasn't a Mario or a Zelda or.
Although, in all fairness, I'm assuming that Smash Brothers is a great vehicle to expose younger players to games they'd never heard of before.
I mean, that's why they're doing it. I'm sure it's because they're trying to promote an upcoming. It makes sense, but from viewing, as I always had, Smash Brothers as kind of a warm fuzzy to all of video gaming. It seems a little lame to weight things so heavily, because we've already, Lucia and Robin were also characters that Robin plays kind of differently, but Lucia is basically just a clone of Marth.
Okay.
I mean, those were two characters from Fire Emblem already intended to promote a different Fire Emblem game.
I don't want to really harp on about it, only because it happened so long ago, relatively. Did you watch the PlayStation, the PSX keynote? No,
I didn't.
No. It wasn't that good.
Yeah. Well,
Ni no Kuni 2 did get announced.
Right, yeah.
That's great. And they did show the Final Fantasy VII footage. And they showed that Uncharted 4 has some branching dialogue, which is not what I need in an Uncharted game. Other than that, just like a lot of indie stuff and a really horrible showing of VR. It was like embarrassingly bad. They had this tech demo, which you should really look this up. It is two guys standing on the stage, both in VR helmets with Move controllers, and
that's always a good look.
They're both standing like in a room that looks like it's ripped straight out of like the most generic Tron ripoff you could find. Right? So already not doing well. And they're like, oh, hey, we're here to promote this demo. Sony pays us to make tech demos. I'm like, already I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, Sony's got to stop paying you guys. So all it is two people standing in a VR space throwing basically frisbees at each other and trying to hit each other. And they're like, look, you can ricochet it off the wall.
We played that game when we were kids with Nerf.
Oh, I mean, Pong or something. Yeah. It's like you can ricochet it off the ceiling, and they're hitting the ceiling, but then not hitting the other person. He's like, here, we'll just keep throwing them until it hits, and it's like doom, doom, not hitting at all. And and one of the calibrations is totally off, so this guy keeps staring over at the corner of the room, and so it's horribly broken in my. Every part of my being is get off the fucking stage.
Oh, God. That's
Call
awful.
it a failure and get the fuck off the stage. And they just pushed through. And I was like, this is embarrassing.
Awesome.
I am super psyched for VR because from everyone who's played it, it says it is very cool and it's going to change the way we play. that was awful.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Ending on a low note.
No, yeah. So listen, before we sign off, I mean, is there anything you want to?
Yeah, it's been a great. Gosh, how many?
Technically 14, 2 years.
Well, when do we start airing these?
A year of video and but 2 years of actually recording.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. I'm gonna miss this.
Yeah,
it was a good way to round out my Sunday. But yeah, I hope at least somebody out there has gotten something out of this. We've certainly dumped a lot of time into it.
We have, and if the timing's ever right, we can always bring it back. I don't want this to be a negative thing.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed doing this as well. Had a lot of good times. It's been it's the funny thing is when we started this because I was a huge fan of of Podcast Beyond and Game Scoop on IGN, and they helped me get through, without them even knowing, they helped me get through a really, really difficult time in my life, where I lost a significant other. I was drinking really heavily, and not to be too depressing, but this is about as depressing as it gets. There were moments where I was the only reason I even tried anymore was because I couldn't wait for that next Tuesday to come around so I could listen to the new episode of Podcast Beyond. And, obviously they had thousands and thousands of listeners, but, they struck a real chord with me. And I told myself that that's all I needed. That I never had needed thousands of subscribers or thousands of viewers. I just wanted to strike that chord with somebody the way they struck with me. And if I could help even one person out there, give them a distraction from sometimes a not very good existence, then I felt like I had done my job. And of course recently we started hearing about people who actually watch this thing on a regular basis. Obviously Thundercloud is the one that comments.
Our number one fan.
Fan. He's the one that comments. But my friend Jill, who lives in Tennessee, she was like, oh, my nephew Robbie watches you guys every single week, and I was like, what, really? I was like, that's out of control. I was like,
he's 9.
He's 15.
Oh, okay, all right,
which
all right, yeah.
Apparently is our target audience. Yeah. I know it's mine.
Oh man,
couldn't go out without making some kind of pedophilic reference. So that's where I kind of get torn on this, right? Is where I go, there are people that watch us every week. There are people that like us. There are many more that don't. So that's the struggle. It's do you just push through and just keep doing it, despite the fact that there's only really only a handful of people that even care, or do you just kind of pull back and re-examine and maybe like I said, bring it back when it's the right time.
Yeah, I mean we have had a few hiatuses in the past where we kind of went back to the drawing board about things. So I'm certainly open to it.
Yeah. So basically that's it. I just want to thank everybody who watches this, and no, it's not. There's absolutely zero negativity involved in this. I'm not well, fuck everybody. Yeah. No one's watching. I give up. That's not it at all. The fact is that I know if 2 people loved us, then that made it all worth it. And for me, just right now, the timing is not right to keep doing this right now, and I really hope that we get to do it again soon.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, me too. Me
awesome.
too.
All right. So that's it. Thank you for joining us for the very last episode of Gaming Without Parole. Until next time, I'm Bryan Paul.
I'm Mike Zeller.
And we'll see you.